week's Big South Football Coaches Media Teleconference. This is Mark Simpson at the conference office, moderating today's call. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we are experiencing some technical difficulties with our online conference call service, so some of the usual protocols will be amended this morning, so please bear with us on that. And but before we begin with our coaches, again, a shifted schedule, starting a little later. No change in order. Coach McCray will lead off, and Coach Gill will be at approximately 11:35. The rest of the coaches will be in their normal speaking order this morning. So we'll turn our attention to our weekly honorees from this past week, the first weekend of conference play. And the Choice Hotels Offensive Player of the Week was Tyrell Maxwell, quarterback from Gardner-Webb. Defensive Player of the Week was Running Bulldogs linebacker Chad Jeter. The Special Teams Player of the Week and also the Stats National Special Teams Player of the Week was Coastal Carolina place kicker Ryan Granger. And the Crons Brand Freshman of the Week this past weekend, for the second time this year, Charleston Southern linebacker Solomon Brown. So as we turn to the second week of conference play, some other notes to pass along. Yesterday, the FCS Coaches Poll came out, and the Big South has 3 teams nationally ranked in the Coaches Top 25 poll. Coastal at number 1, Liberty at 22, and Charleston Southern at 23. Second time in league history we've had 3 teams ranked in the top 25 in the same week. Tyrell Maxwell posted the second highest single-game rushing total by a Big South quarterback this past weekend in those victory over Liberty. Kennesaw State set the Big South single-game record for most yards of total offense this past Saturday with 699 against Point. Charleston Southern now ranks second in FCS in total defense. Coastal Carolina's D'Angelo Henderson tied the FCS record for most consecutive games with a touchdown. Now at 20, he'll have a chance to go for the record in 2 weeks at Monmouth. Liberty wide receiver Darren Peterson is on the cusp of a Big South career record for receiving yards, needing just 65 in his next game. Presbyterian College's Darrell Bridges has PC's most rushing yards since 2011. Liberty quarterback Josh Woodrum became the second quarterback in league history with 9,000 career passing yards when he surpassed the milestone over the weekend. And the Big South ESPN3 Game of the Week features Gardner-Webb and Kennesaw State this Saturday in the Owls' first ever conference game. And a good segue into our first coach, the head coach of the Running Bulldogs of Gardner-Webb, Carroll McCray. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mark. How are you doing today?
Doing fine. Congratulations to you all on the conference opening win over number 15 Liberty, 34-20. If you can open up, talk about that game and some of your big stars from the weekend, Tyrell Maxwell, Chad Jeter, and others. And we'll start taking questions and talking about the Owls.
Okay, we'll be glad to. Well, we certainly, performed much better this past week than we had in prior ball games as the entire football team, and had some kids step up and make some plays. I know you spoke of Tyrell and Chad, but we, felt like we had quite a few guys contribute in a much better way than they had in the past, and probably started to find our way a little bit offensively. I have to excuse my voice; I'm struggling a little bit with the cold. But defensively, we have had pretty good moments in the opening games of the season, and starting to find some consistency and a little bit of depth. In special teams, I thought we had seen some improvement as we had gone, although we had been a little up and down the week before open date. But offensively, we had not done very much. We had not found our way and gotten into much of a rhythm at all. And certainly our quarterback is a big factor in that. But we had some guys, some young receivers that stepped up. I thought that played better, not only catching the ball, but doing what they're supposed to do on the edge to block. And, we've seen a couple of our young backs, because of injuries, come on and make some plays for us, which has hopefully will be good for our future. But we certainly had our hands full, and we know what kind of team Liberty has. We were very fortunate to win the ball game, and but proud of the way our kids fought and gave us an opportunity to win a game like that, especially opening conference play and opening conference play here in Bowling Springs. So it was certainly a fine situation for us, and now I think, you know, a big challenge for a young football team in many ways, like I told the guys on Sunday, is to see if we can work to continue a little more consistency in areas where we have faltered, and then, you know, if you want to show that you've really improved, you got to go on the road and put yourself in position to win a football game.
All right, Coach, thanks very much. At this time, we'll start taking questions. Unfortunately, our service is not working properly. So those who would like to ask questions of Carroll McCray, go ahead and unmute your lines, and we'll just kind of take as they come in. And while you unmute lines and prepare to ask questions, I'll go ahead and start one. Please give us your thoughts on Kennesaw State and what you've seen so far of the Owls.
Well, certainly. I mean, Coach Bohannon's a fine football coach. I think we know he's put together a fine staff, and I really think, my personal opinion, I mean, they're 4-1, but my opinion of looking and assessing their football team over the video is that they're way beyond schematically in preparation with their guys, having a practice year and then having 5 real football games under their belt. They certainly look like they're further down the road to me than that. We have a lot of respect for them, and especially Coach Bohannon and what he has done and is doing at Kennesaw State. And I think they've done a good job. When I look at their 2-deep, understanding that they're playing a lot of second-year guys, I think they've done a real nice job of getting some junior college players in there, as well as some transfers that have been and are starting to be very productive for them. Certainly they got a lot of real high stats in a lot of different areas. Very potent on offense with their rushing attack. I think their quarterback is, he's the kind of guy you want. I mean, he's tough. He plays extremely hard each and every play. You know, he's a winner, and I think he's, the spearhead for them offensively. Their backs look like they're doing a good job, getting where they need to be, and their offensive line are very physical and tough with low hats and high butts and coming off the football like I knew they would. Defensively, I think they have game speed. I think the guys can chase you down, and certainly, it'll be a big challenge for us to put hats in the right spots, but they look like they're further along than a first-year program to me, and I think that's a credit to their players, but more than that, a credit to Coach Bohannon's leadership and their staff.
Thank you, Coach. This time we'll take any questions for Carroll McCray. Our service is not working, so if your line is unmuted and have a question for Coach, please feel free to ask away, and then I'll continue with any questions if we have none. Coach, with a new program like Kennesaw State, what's the challenge that you face trying to prepare for a team like that, just based on 5 games compared to maybe some things that you were able to do over a period of seasons, per se?
Well, I think with 5 games, we're able to see what their basic things are, and they tweak things here and there, and certainly, offensively they got a quarterback that can hit receivers and make some big plays off their option attack. So I know that they'll have different things each week depending on what you give them, and certainly they take what you give them and then work their way back from there. But I think with 5 games, you get to see a pretty multiple defense. They have their 3-man front that makes a 4-man front depending on who they're playing, and then consistency has been a pretty good thing for them offensively. So I think they've shown production each and every week they played, and they found ways to win football games. The one game they lost, certainly they had opportunities to win that game and be undefeated, and I think that's because, they have a game plan, they're sticking with it, and I think their kids believe in what Coach is doing down there, and I think that's why they're moving ahead at a pretty rapid pace, if you ask me.
Okay, focusing back on your team, you mentioned at the top of the call some of your young players, Jonathan Blackman in particular, 73 yards, a touchdown over the weekend against Liberty. just his progression and some of the things that he's done that's giving him a lot more carries per game.
Well, Jonathan came on, and we had several young backs that we were going to play along with Bobby Clark, and Jonathan came out. He's an ex-receiver, and in high school that we recruited as a running back and a pitch back. He came in and really gave us a spark early in the ball game, and was able to come in. He did a pretty decent job holding the football, which is what you want a young back to do, and he showed that he was able to help us in pass protection, and those are the two things I worry about most as a young back. But when he got the football in his hands, he showed some ability to make first downs and move toward the goal line, so we played him a little more than we had really anticipated. And as he got in the flow of the game, I thought he did better. So really excited about Jonathan, and we're going to need him along with several of those young guys to continue to step up if we're going to improve each and every week. But very pleased with Jonathan.
Okay, and my last question before we take the last call for questions, Jonathan Sherrill, he had a nice game as well. 8 times.
He did.
3 for loss and interception. Just kind of his play lately for you.
Well, we were thin. Ivan Toomer's been out with an injury, and Jonathan really has worked and stepped up for us. I thought he made several outstanding plays behind the line of scrimmage and picked the ball off as Liberty was headed down into the red zone and gained possession back for us. But he's one of those seniors that has bought into our staff as we arrived 2 years ago, and he's really showing his maturity in his last year. He'll head toward graduation and get out of here, but he's a guy that's been allowed the last couple of weeks to play more, and then when he got the start, he took advantage of it, and now certainly we're going to be dependent on him to really help us out in that secondary as we move forward.
All right, we'll take final questions for Gardner-Webb head coach Carroll McCray. As I mentioned, our web service is not working properly, so if you have a question for Coach, feel free to ask it any time, and then go ahead. Any questions for Coach McCray? Well, Coach, hearing none, I guess we'll go ahead and let you go,
Okay.
But I appreciate you joining us, and good luck Saturday at Kennesaw State.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it a bunch. You all have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.